In this video, we're going to focus on the private sector. So it is our first sector of the economy. And there are three different types of business we're going to talk about for this sector. Firstly, a sole trader, then a partnership, then private limited companies. So firstly, looking at a sole trader. So sole traders are small organisations. They have one private owner, and that one individual owner controls the whole business. They can raise finances in traditional ways like their own savings, bank loans, bank overdrafts, retained profit from year to year, and potentially government grants. And there are a lot of government grants to help sole traders get set up. Now, the sole trader is very challenging because you are making all the decisions. But let's look at some of the other advantages and disadvantages. So, an advantage, sole trader, you get to make all the decisions. And that's great. It doesn't slow things down. It allows you to make your decisions quickly, succinctly, and make them in line with your business objectives. You get to keep all the profit. So this is the business format that's going to have the highest return on your investment, because everything you put into it, you will get 100% of the profits back out. It's easy to set up. There is very little paperwork required, and you can just start trading immediately. However, there is unlimited liability. Now, unlimited liability means that you are unlimitedly liable. So it means that you are responsible for the debt of your business. Regardless of what money you have, everything can be taken. So your home, your possessions, anything to cover the debt of your business. You don't have any partners to work with to give you fresh ideas, you've got no one to share the workload with, and because you are a one-man band or a one-woman band, it means that it's more difficult to raise finance. Banks are going to be less likely to lend to you than if there had been more people to spread the liability. Next up, we're going to look at partnerships. So a partnership, unlike a sole trader, can have more than one owner. So in the UK, the limit is 2 to 20 partners. And the control of a partnership is those 2 to 20 people. And they're financed largely in the same ways as a sole trader. However, they could potentially invite new partners to the business to have additional investment in today's finance that's needed. Advantages of being a partnership are a lot of the disadvantages of being a sole trader. So partners can bring in new skills and new ideas. There are more people to invest, and partners can share the workload. So it's easier to take holidays, it's easier to manage your time. Disadvantage is obviously that the partnership agreement must be created every time there's a change in ownership. So whether that's because a new partner's joining, or a partner has decided to leave, or potentially a partner has passed away, a new partnership agreement has to be created. Another downside is that the partners share the profit. So where in a sole trader, you get all the profit back out for what you invest. In a partnership, you will only get a share of the profit. And again, like a sole trader, you have unlimited liability. Lastly, we're going to look at private limited companies. So, private limited company, again, unlike a sole trader, must have more than one owner. But unlike a partnership, it's not limited to 2 to 20. A private limited company can have between 2 and 50 shareholders. And that's a key term. When you're comparing these organisations, when you're discussing them, describing them, owners in private limited companies are shareholders. And unlike the other companies, sole trader and partnership, where they're just simply controlled by the owners of the organisation, a private limited company is controlled by a board of directors. That board of directors will be voted in by the ownership, but it is controlled by the board of directors day to day. And again, it's financed by a lot of the same things: bank loans, overdrafts, profit, government grants. However, like partnerships, you can invite new people to join, so you can invite additional shareholders to raise additional finance. And also, because you've got limited liability, you're more likely to get mortgages and larger loans from banks. So as I mentioned there, limited liability is the opposite of unlimited. So where sole traders and partners are responsible for all the debt in the business, investors in a private limited company can only lose their investment. They're not liable to lose any more. The board of directors can be experts in different areas. which allows a lot of different ideas and a lot of expertise to meet customer needs and wants, meet the requirements. And because of the limited liability and because you've got shareholders and there's a lot more paperwork involved, it can be easier to raise finance. However, as I just mentioned, the disadvantage, a lot of paperwork is required to set up a private limited company. You need to register with Companies House. Profits are shared as dividends to all the shareholders, so similar to a partnership. The fact that you don't get to take all the profit, you don't need to share it. And because of the limited liability and the fact that you're registered with Company House, you have to create and produce annual accounts, kept and shared with Companies House. So that's an overview of the organisations within the private sector. But all of these organisations have very similar objectives. So we're going to look at the objectives of the private sector as a whole, as opposed to by the individual different businesses. So in the private sector, their main objectives are to maximise profit and to survive. So maximise profit simply means maximising your sales and minimising your costs to make as much profit as possible. You want to survive. So that means simply making more money than you're spending. That allows you to survive. You want to satisfy customers to make sure that you are achieving those sales. You obviously want to try and gain more and more sales so you can increase your market share. You're looking to grow the business. Again, by growing the business, potentially opening new shops, things like that, you might get more sales and again more profit. You improve your social standing as an individual in the community as you'll have a higher income. And you're looking to have a good reputation in the local community. You don't want your local community to turn against your small business. So, as you'll see, the main two are maximise profit and survive, but all of the others lead into those objectives. All of them help you achieve those two main objectives. So that is a 101 tour of the private sector. Check out our next video on the public sector.